Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every day. It is Thursday. It's Thursday Tier Talk. I'm here with my co-host, the Dazzler, Darren. How are you, my friend?
I'm not bad, Niall. Niall,
Good. Yeah.
we have another co-host for a minute this evening.
Oh, do we?
Special guest appearance, boy.
Yeehaw. What's happening, buddy? How are you?
Good.
Good.
What are you up to?
You can't hear you because I got the earphones on.
Oh, yeah.
He's not bad. He's here for a particular reason, Niall.
Okay.
Turn your head out, me shot. He's here for a particular reason. We're going to do a live card break.
A live card break.
Premier League 2025, baby.
Very good. So you're going to do like an unboxing?
We're going to do an unboxing here. Because there's a few bits and bobs in here. There's 5 packs inside.
Okay.
And there's 2 limited editions. Will you find the special edition excellence or signature card? So there's a lot going on here. These are great crack. We picked up a few of these on Sunday, a couple of tins and the new book. So hang with us here, Niall. I was hoping to do this with my son before we came on air, but he was at a football match and I was trying to get dinner into me, so we're doing it now. Here you go, my son. Take that away. Will I go all ASMR-y?
You better speed it up or we'll be here till midnight.
Okay. We're opening the pack. Here we go. So we have our 5 packs.
Yeah.
We have our special downloadable coins on the app. And we have 2 limited, one's a limited edition and one's a Panini Adrenaline. Let's see what we've got. The hope here would be a golden baller. Golden ballers are probably the best cards in the game.
You can't get them in limited editions.
I can't get a golden baller in the limited edition. I've just been told.
Amateur.
My 9-year-old knows all this, right? Let's see. Oh, I know somebody who'll like this card. Take that, please.
Oh.
Stop talking. You haven't got a speaking part tonight. We have limited edition McCallum Mudrick.
I don't know a single person on the planet who'd like that card.
I think Ian would like that card, wouldn't he?
I wouldn't have thought so somehow.
No. And then we're going for our our Panini Adrenaline. Let's see. Oh, what have we got? This is a card you'll like, Niall. Mohamed Kudos. Excellence.
Very good. Yeah.
Limited edition excellence card. Is there a signature on it? There's not, but it's a really thick card. I don't know if you can see that.
You're not able to bend them. If it's an excellent, you're not able to bend them.
You're not able to bend them. Okay, do you remember you don't have a speaking part in this? Zip it. Thanks.
He's providing the education. You might want to give him the headset there.
Very good. I'm going to open these packs very quickly to see if you got a golden ball and then you're out of here into your bed, okay? Right. Pack 1, Niall, you ready?
Tell him if there's no Mo Salah in these 5 packs, he's getting binned off for the rest of the season. Won't be making any more guest appearances.
No more guest appearances. Okay, we have Fire Brennan Johnson. Nice one. We have defensive hero Levi Colwell.
Not bad. I like that one.
We've got the regular cards here. No Liverpool or United players by the looks of it. No, that'll do. I'll leave them in there for you. Yeah. Pack 2 because we need to speed this up because me and Niall have shit to do here. You know what I'm saying?
Plenty to get through tonight.
Pack 2. Pack 2. Oh, doesn't this take you back, Niall? Isn't this just nostalgia? Watch this. The L Southampton shiny. Look at that. Is that a sign of things to come on Saturday? You never know.
Do you know I never collected the cards? I only collected the stickers. Remember the old sticker albums?
Stickers, yeah.
They're the ones. That's how far back I go on albums.
Model Pro Christian Norgard from Brentford. Nice little card there as well. Very cool.
Raul me just said it as well. Damn, match attacks have changed from the days I used to collect them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a minefield now, Raul me. It's a
That's
minefield.
it. I got to tell you, there's a couple of good ballers in that pack. There's a couple of good ballers there. Look at that. Phil Foden, Gabriel, and Bernardo Silva.
That's a very good pack. That's a tidy pack.
That's a tidy pack now. 3 to go.
That'd be a great transfer window.
That'd be a good transfer window, wouldn't it? Phil Foden would do me in any
Absolutely.
window. I have to be honest with you. Oh, controversial. You ready?
Yeah.
Hotshot Ivan Toney, who now doesn't play in the league.
How dare you, Panini? How dare you?
Oh, God.
Henry's in the old sticker albums. I used to buy so many and hope I needed them. Yeah, absolutely. I remember you're always left with this pile of players that you not want to trade with you or nothing. They were useless.
I like this card. You won't like it. Abdullah Decore, Relentless. It's a cool card. Lots of colours. Really like it. Very vibrant looking. And they've added a new card to each team this season.
When did they start covering the championship as well?
And they've added a new card this season as well. And the new card is you get the club ground. One Stamford Bridge. It's Stamford Bridge for now. It might not be very soon though. We'll come to that later.
A lot of those cards will be out of fashion soon as well. Yeah.
Right, we've 2 to go. When you're going out, close the door, won't you know? Yeah. Good man. Right, let's see where we are.
Joanne's in as well. She said she used to collect them as well. Yeah, I always only ever had the stickers.
Niall.
Is he in it? Is the Egyptian king in it? Is he in it?
Niall, I think I've done better.
There's no better than Mohamed Salah. Stop.
Golden Ball or Alexis McAllister.
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Still not Egyptian king levels, but still very good.
That's a really nice card from a regular pack, Noel.
Yeah. Henry says that Stamford Bridge was looking like the Everton new stadium.
World class Daniel Munoz, the right back at Crystal Palace or the wing back. Tidy.
Very good.
Loves the card. He might be in a bet later. Just saying. Still haven't got a United player. Nothing. Right, last pack, bros. Ready?
Raulmy says he'd love if they did retro cards and had a Vinnie Jones one. Love it. Love it.
Okay.
Yes, that's right, Joanne. The ones that you want later on, you could buy them, couldn't you, to complete your collection?
The Brentford Shiny, the base, very cool. I like that.
Very good. Yeah, that's nice.
And I think we've done it. You ready to finish off? Magic Touch Alejandro Garnacho.
Oh, God.
Oh, yes.
God.
The boy.
It was bad enough last night. I had to look at him on a pair of shin guards. Now tonight I have to look at him on a Panini card.
And you know what? We've got a couple of others in here as well. Marcus Rashford. Can we bin him?
No.
Bin him off. He's brutal, man. Couldn't get a game for bleeding. Weft it.
So what's the good card you have? Who was that?
Cody Gakpo.
Nice, like that.
His name's not Cody Gakpo, Brody. Don't say things like that, will you?
Yeah, that's terrible, Brody. Another year you'll be following him. Roll me in. Can we have a match attacks card? Can we have a match attacks card with Tony in a neck brace? And Ace is in fraud data. 3 more years of failure incoming. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that as well tonight. Don't worry.
He says, Brody says, tell Niall I said slong.
He's a gent. Do they still have the 100 club card, by the way? That's still a thing?
I'm not sure is the answer. I'd have to look in the actual book. But I don't think so. I think they were replaced by Golden Ballers, which was the Alexis McAllister one we just pulled here.
Absolutely. Well, big up to all you guys in the chat. So we're going to have for you tonight, we got a Premier League preview as always. Where am I going? Why can't I roll up now? I can't see. Do you know, funny enough, there you go. That's where I made my mistake. Here. I have to put all my slides back in because I had to come out and go back in. So,
Oh God, Noel, what's happening here?
right. So
Something going on.
I'll be doing that. I'll be doing that while we're going through the Premier League preview. So let's get started because we're 10 minutes in and we were 5 or 6 minutes late. So let's get into this. Match week 4, certainly, up to match week 3 has been interesting to say the least. But let's kick it off. The early kickoff, no one complaining about it. Man United away to Southampton at St. Mary's. Kick us off, bro.
Big game for us, obviously. 3 points on the board after 3 games. We need to kind of remedy that a little bit. I think this is a big game for us, and for Ten Hag. Now, I don't necessarily think, if he lost the game, he's out or anything like that, but I do think it's a big game, and I think he needs a big performance from the team. A couple of times last season when we were backs against the wall, he was just able to get enough out of the lads to get them over the line and stuff like that. We had a number of games like this away against the lower teams in the league, and even when the form wasn't great on the road, we were just able to pick up a win here, whether it was 2-1 or 1-0 and stuff like that. So I'm going to say 1-0 here to Man United. I think there'll be chances. I don't think we'll take chances, but I think we'll keep it relatively tight, and I think we'll get over the line and we'll nick it 1-0.
I'm thinking a draw. And you know why I'm thinking
that? Why would that shock me?
No, and I don't mean it that way at all, but I'm thinking a draw. And the reason I'm thinking a draw is they haven't got a point yet out of 3 games. And it would be just this situation that they gather a point. Now, I would fully expect United to win, but something's telling me a draw, a score draw, maybe a 1-1. That's what I'm thinking. Now, you said something earlier. You said you don't think it would cost him his job if you lost.
No.
That's what you're thinking. But should it?
No.
Because at that stage, if you were to lose,
I don't think anyone should ever be sacked after 4 games of a league season.
Well, we're not really discussing 4 games here now, are we? Really, I know the FA Cup win and stuff like that, but if you look at league form last season and stuff like that, but on the flip side of that, a loss on Saturday, and let's assume Man City are going to win for argument's sake here, you will be then what 9 points off the top. And I know necessarily you might not be pitching yourself to be up there at the top.
Absolutely not pitching yourself for that.
But so at this stage, 4 games in to be 9 points off the top.
Yeah, but I mean, it's as simple as if you win the next 4 after that. You know what I mean? You can balance the books fairly evenly. Teams are going to win games and they're going to lose games.
Your next game then is away to Crystal Palace, I think.
Yeah.
Which we seen what happened last season. Not a happy hunting ground.
I see what happened at Anfield with them. So.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's plausible to happen to anyone. I just think it's way too far ahead for anyone to look at. I think we've got to go game at a time. And I think even, and this is going to sound mental, I think even if we did lose the game, if there was positives, that would bring us further down the road. You know what I mean? What is a positive? Maybe Ugarte starts and has a good game and comes out unscathed and stuff like that. And, maybe just we let one slide at the back, or we don't take chances, or the Aaron Ramsdale has one of those games and as man of the match and stuff like that. There's all things plausible. I think we'll beat them. I think we'll beat them. But I do think even if we don't win, I don't think he's in trouble for me. Because I don't know what would have changed between, pre-season and 4 games in the manager market even. So if Ineos, cast the net out over the summer and didn't manage to find what they want in the net at the end of it, that hasn't changed after 4 games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be I think it would be extremely very close at that stage. I think I'd be very surprised. Right. Next up, Brighton versus Ipswich. Brighton flying high at the moment this season. Ipswich struggling, but a tough start with two tough opponents to start with.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the two games that the fixture computer gives Ipswich to start with, City and Liverpool, it's as tough as it gets. They've been the two best teams in the league for along with Arsenal for the last number of years. And I don't think you expect them to get out now the first two. And obviously they go then against Fulham and there's a much better performance and stuff like that. And they don't get at them, but it's a better day at the office, so to speak. I think, there's still plenty left for Ipswich to play for. I think I'd expect to see them pick up points at home at Portland Road against some of the other sides. They actually did pick up a point against Fulham, so they're on the board, and that's what I expect them to do. I expect them to beat certain teams at home, and I think I think under McKenna, I think they'll be close to that bubble. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ipswich finish at 18th or 17th, one under it or one over it. That's where I kind of see them,
They're going to be close. It's going to be close.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think I said it. We said it a few weeks ago on the podcast as well, didn't we? The home form for the likes of them and Leicester and teams like that is going to be pivotal. Absolutely pivotal.
I personally, and it's only me, I see Leicester and Southampton as two worse sides than Ipswich. I think Ipswich for me are the standout of the three. I know they didn't necessarily, win the league, but I still see them as the best of the three teams there, and it'll be up to them to see if they can catch just because all they need to do is catch one team.
Yeah.
And if they can outlast one team over 38 games, that'll be enough to see them in the league for next season. And that'll be tremendous for Ipswich and for Kieran McKenna and stuff like that,
What are you going here? Brighton win?
Yeah, I'd go Brighton win just because of how they started off the season. I think they've been an absolute house on fire. I don't necessarily think it'll be a clean sheet because I think Ipswich create a number of chances. They have a couple of good footballers there. The boy Amari Hutchinson's a nice player, and
they've just scored against City.
City. They've got the boy Jack Clark in there as well. They just brought in from Sunderland. So I'm gonna go Brighton 2-1.
Brighton 2-1. Yeah, same as Henry. Joanne's thinking 2-0. Daz is thinking 2-0. So yeah, certainly be should be a good game as well. Actually,
yeah, I think so. There'll be two teams that are going out to try and win again.
Palace versus Leicester. Palace will want to put on a performance here. They've somewhat struggled so far this season. It hasn't been quite that Glasner effect, sure hasn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think obviously they draw away the last day at Chelsea, and that's not a bad result. The defeat to West Ham is the one that really stands out. That's the one where you're going, Jesus, West Ham turned them over at home. And the point obviously is good against Chelsea. I think that'll get the ball rolling from them. They're probably missing the boy Michael Elise, and we know Jean-Philippe Mateta has just come back from the Olympics as well.
That's right.
He came straight from the Olympics, straight back to start the season. So he's probably a little bit tired. I know they've obviously brought in Eddie Nketiah to try and help balance things out for them, so they'll be able to have a second option. You've got your hold up striker in Mateta, and then you've got your in behind striker in Nketiah who'll make runs off the last defender and stuff. And I think that'll be very helpful for them to get extra bodies in like that. But I see Palace getting a win here. I think this is Palace 3-1.
3-1. Interesting. Henry's going for a 1-1. 40-year-old Vardy. Romy says Eze has really stepped up to fill the void left by Elise. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he I think with the two lads last season, a lot of it was they dovetailed. When Elise was good, Eze tailed them, and when Eze was good, Elise tailed them, and they did stuff all season. I think obviously the difference is now he knows there's a lot more pressure on him, and it's difficult when there's a lot more pressure on him because you look at teams, and I'm sure when Palace go places or when teams go to Palace now, they're going to look and they're going to say, right, we stop Eze, we stop Palace.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure on the boy. And that's not easy either. But I think he's a really, really good footballer. I'm surprised, if I'm honest, that he's still there. I am a little bit surprised. I did think somebody would punt for him in the summer. I thought he was made for the likes of Tottenham. But in saying that, I think when Tottenham go and spend their transfer budget or a large chunk of it on Dominic Solanke, then you're probably not getting, an Eze in on the back of that as well. So I can understand it as well,
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of players there we thought would go, didn't we? I mean, we thought Gay was nailed down for a move as well, and
I think the one thing I will
Wharton.
say about, well, I didn't think Wharton would go because he was only in so quickly, I think this time next summer, if Wharton's there, I'll be shocked. This time next year, because I think he'll have had 18 months of Palace then, and then it'll be somebody going, right, let's go and nip this kid in and get him in, But I do think that it was huge for Steve Parish to turn down 65 to 70 million euros for Mark Gahey. Like, I think that shows it's a really good sign if I'm the manager, if I'm Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace, that he wasn't just happy to take the money and run type thing. He wanted to try and build something, and he wanted to build, a team behind Mark Gahey and stuff like that. He obviously sold the boy Anderson, who, I was really shocked he left, to be honest with you. But he went to Fulham. He's been at Fulham previously. He'll bring a bit of solidity to that back line of Fulham with Bassi, because I think Bassi's a serious footballer at Fulham as well. So, but just surprised. But I think if I'm the manager, it's a great kind of eye opener for me to say I'm being backed here. It's a real pat on the back. We're backing you through this.
Yeah. Fulham, West Ham.
Yeah, Fulham, West Ham. Fulham have been all right so far this season. Obviously went down to us on week 1. They turn up against Leicester, get a win, and then they pick up a point away against Ipswich. I think they're a team that are going to give a lot of teams trouble this season. I think they'll pick up points in a lot of places. Fulham. I think Marco Silva's doing a great job at them. But I also think in West Ham, they're one of those teams that I expect a big, big season from under Julian Lopetegui. And I think we've seen flashes of it so far. I think obviously the win away at Crystal Palace is huge. That's a big result if you're West Ham. Obviously losing to Villa and losing to City. Nobody wants to lose. But I do think it's West Ham's to kind of. I think West Ham are slightly better side, and I think they have a bit more going on in that team. And I think they might pick Fulham off. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be going where Daz is going with it, but
Yeah, be tighter, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't see West Ham having a clean sheet either. They don't, keep lots of clean sheets, and I think Fulham are a decent team, but I wouldn't be surprised to see West Ham nick this 2-1.
Yeah, Joanna's going 2-1 Fulham. Daz is going 3-0 West Ham. I think that's a tough, especially at the Cottage. It could be a banana skin game. West Ham bought loads of players. That may not be game time. Fulham have good defense. 2-1 Hammers just. Yeah, I think it's going to be a tight game. This could go either way. This could either
Absolutely.
be. This will swing on it. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. This'll tip your accumulator one way or the other, won't it?
Yeah. I hope West Ham get Fulham in a front headlock CM Punk special. Absolutely. Next up, Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest at Anfield.
More the same, I think.
Yeah, Acers went 5-0 Liverpool, so his was just up about his.
I don't think Forest will come out and be as expansive for it to be 5-0. Do you know? I think Nuno's quite a defensive coach. He sits the team very, very deep and stuff like that. I don't expect to see, Forest going out and trying to go past Liverpool to be picked off at the back. I think it'll be tighter than that. I'll go Liverpool 3-1.
3-1.
3-1. Okay. I think Anthony Elanga might cause you a little bit of trouble, just a little bit.
I'm gonna go conservatively. I'm gonna go conservatively with 2-0 because I haven't had a full update yet, and I know that McAllister is dealing with an abductor issue, which might change things. He sat out the last international game because of it and stuff like that. So let's see what the story is there. Romy is in. He's going Liverpool at home with their good form and mad support. I say Liverpool 4-0. He's agreeing with Daz. Big show. Henry's there as well. Arna has LFC pouring. However, I can see Forest scoring, so I'm going to go 3-1. Good show.
That's where I went as well, Henry.
Joanne's going 3-1 as well. Yes, it's good show, but comprehensive Liverpool win anyway. So, Man City versus Brentford.
Yeah, I know Brentford have caused a little bit of trouble here for City over the years, but I just don't see lightning striking again, if I'm honest with you. I think this is City. I think this is, again, the Haaland show. And I'm going to go 4-1 City.
4-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, Romy saying Brentford best to call in. So Brentford's kind of a weird one, isn't it? Because since the turn of the year, looking back at the last 4 or 5 months of last season as well, they just haven't been playing the way we have seen them play under Thomas Frank. They've been quite disjointed at times.
A little.
Yeah.
I think that kind of comes from obviously the Ivan Toney situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was weird. If you look at last season, the first 4 or 5 months of the season when they lost Toney was when they were playing their better football. Then the drop-off came kind of post-Christmas when Toney came back in the January period, which was kind of weird. We spoke about it on podcasts. Now that they have him back, why are they struggling? You know what I mean? So it was kind of weird. Weird. Henry, now Haaland, he's not playing, so I still think City are too strong for cheaters. 3-1 City.
No Haaland.
No Haaland, he's not playing, is he not? Didn't see that. Daz is going 3-1.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, Daz is going 3-1 City. Haaland hat-trick. I haven't seen Haaland isn't playing. Might be the case, though. Might be the case.
It might be.
I haven't seen any press conferences yet. Yeah, I didn't see any. There was a couple of pressers today, all right, but I didn't see it. Man City Joanne's going 6-0. So you look at these score lines, you would think Haaland is playing. Will we see the Gallagher brothers making an appearance at the Etihad tomorrow for the match? Yeah, jeez. No doubt. I wouldn't be surprised. They'd be a bigger draw than the team, in fairness.
It'd be difficult, let's be honest.
Aston Villa. Oh, what did you go, Man City? Sorry, you went 3-1, was it?
I went 4-1 City.
4-1 City, okay. Aston Villa versus Everton. Everton need to do something, don't they?
Everton need to do something, but I think if you need to do something, going to Aston Villa is probably the last place you want to go, or one of them anyway, because I think Aston Villa have an awful lot of pace in that team. Your Ollie Watkins, your Morgan Rogers, your Aaron Ramsey, your Leon Bailey, and I think if you come out and you're trying to force the issue on a result, and you go too far on that issue, I think you're going to be absolutely taken apart.
Oh, Henry's saying he's been given compassionate leave. A friend of his has died. Okay. Interesting. Hadn't seen that, Henry. Thanks for...
I didn't see or hear any of that, Henry. But I'll take your word for it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so there you go. So that... I don't think it changes a whole lot, really. Anyway, maybe a goal. Might be 3-1 instead of 4-1 or something.
It certainly makes life a bit more difficult with not having, Julian Alvarez to step in behind and fill the void that's left. What are you left playing then?
Who sits into that then? Who is this?
It's probably a false 9 with Phil Foden.
Okay.
And you'll probably have Bernardo on one side and Doku on the other. And then you'll have De Bruyne, Rodri and Gundogan, I would expect.
Interesting.
That's what that's what I'm looking at in my head, you know what I mean? But
yeah, absolutely. Anyway, where are we? Villa Everton.
Villa Everton, yeah. I don't really see Everton getting much out of this, if I'm honest. I think it's going to be another tough day at the office. I absolutely 110% think Sean Dyche is getting closer. I think he's getting real close. And I think if this was to be a heavier defeat, if Villa got 3 or 4,
Yeah.
I think he's in trouble. And I don't take any pleasure in saying that 4 games into the league season, but
Yeah. And a lot of talk at the moment with Moyes being available. Would you see that being the path they might take?
I certainly don't think it would be a bad path to take.
Good shout, Romy. On at the haunt the toffees.
Romy, it's like Romy has looked inside my
Jotter.
My jotter, yeah. For what I'm thinking about for later, he's hit the nail on the head there.
For the bets.
I'll give you a tip of the cap there later, Romy.
There we go.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a good one now, I have to say.
Yeah. Romy's thinking, Sean Dyche 1 foot out the door, the other man walking to the door.
Yeah, I think Dyche is close. I'm gonna say Villa 3-1 here.
Yeah.
But I think if it got messier, he could be in lumber.
Well, the fans are out there at the moment. I know you've seen some of the videos from the train station and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
they ain't happy at all.
No, and like that's a difficult watch for everybody. You know what I mean? And I don't think, I don't think he takes any pleasure in that, Sean Dyche.
No,
it's something he would obviously be looking to remedy, but I think at the minute it's just so difficult. They're struggling for confidence. He doesn't look like he's overly aware of what's his best team and who he needs to play. They were 2-0 up against Bournemouth a couple of weeks ago.
Massive collapse.
Obviously, massive collapse. But the collapse happened when he took their man of the match off.
Exactly.
They were 2-0 up. He took off Ilman and Doy, who had scored and been unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
They shit the bed, lose 3-2, and then there's uproar.
That one was all on him. That one was him.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's going to be a tough one as well. It's the last season at Goodison, so it's historic. They're moving into that beautiful new stadium down the Docklands. There's a lot of pressure on at the moment, and potentially more points deduction coming down the road as well. So if you're starting off with 4 losses, rooted to the bottom of the table, no points, potentially a minus 10 or 11 goal difference, and you're staring down the barrel of potentially a PSR thing as well, you're in serious trouble. But they could be looking at negative points in the next few weeks if another point deduction comes along.
And that is just...
There's no coming back from that. There's no coming back from that.
Well, it would take a monumental effort, and you're probably thinking it would be someone else that would have to make the effort.
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily believe, that he could come back from that himself.
Yeah, and I think obviously losing Onana as well was obviously huge, and we spoke about it during the summer when it was happening and stuff like that. And he was pivotal in that run last season that climbed them out of there last season.
He's Everton's best player, and they sold him.
Yeah.
Now you bring in someone like an Ilman and Doy who's going to add a little bit. You bring in somebody maybe like a Jake O'Brien who again can add a little bit. Then you take out your best player. All of a sudden, you're probably below the level you were last season, and it makes life very, very difficult.
Yeah. Mysterious went missing, absolutely. And look, there's so much going on there at the moment. As I said, last season at Goodison, new stadium, really in serious trouble on the pitch. Potentially huge financial issues in the background, ownership, all this kind of stuff. It's not a great recipe. Not a good recipe.
We probably expect John Textor to take over there pretty soon. I think he's going through due diligence and stuff like that at the minute, and he's looking at accounts and whatever. But I think for Everton, for Everton Football Club, the best scenario for them would be you're facing into the 2025 season. You've your new stadium to open. You're still in the Premier League. You've Texter as owner, and you've somebody at the helm who wants to play a little bit of football. That's the light at the end of the tunnel for Everton. But you have a while before you get there. Is the problem?
Yeah, Henry's in here. I think Forest and Everton will be better off than City and Chelsea after FFP case. I don't know. There's lots of stuff I'm hearing at the moment, and like when you see the likes of that hotel deal being rubber stamped and stuff like that, it's bewildering to me and stuff like that. And also, I don't know what's going to happen there. And if I was following one of those clubs, I wouldn't be throwing my hat on something that happened to City or Chelsea anytime soon. That's for sure.
No.
Romy, best stadium in the championship. That's a good trophy for them. Yeah, absolutely. Right, Bournemouth versus Chelsea. And we are going to be talking about Chelsea tonight, folks.
I think this will probably work out pretty similarly to the game at Wolves. I think this will be, Bournemouth pressing and maybe getting into the game, but I think Everton will pick them off a little, or sorry, Chelsea will pick them off a little bit at the back. I think they're starting to get players fit, and they're starting to look like they've found some sort of a shape under Maresca and stuff like that. And I think Madueke's obviously done quite well and got his assist for Kane the other night. You've got Nkunku, who's coming back from his injury. He's got on the score sheet a couple of times recently. You got Cole Palmer, who's flying. You've got Nicholas Jackson, who's been amongst the goals and stuff. So I think Chelsea will win this. I think it'll be 3-1 Chelsea.
3-1.
Yeah.
That would be a big help for them at the moment, because there is so many distractions and stuff there at the moment. It's crazy stuff. Chelsea moving mad like my ex when my Snapchat used to ding.
Jesus.
Love it. Chelsea draw 1-1 or a Parma rout. Yeah, it could be a Madueke rout. He was very good. So let's see what happens. Yeah, but we'd expect a Chelsea win. But I tell you, it's going to be interesting to see the reaction of the away Chelsea crowd as well, with everything that's going on at the moment. But they use the opportunity to send a message, So let's see what happens. Obviously,
it's very hard to send a message when there's not that many.
Yeah, interesting. We'll skip to the bottom one first, because we're going to talk about the North London derby anyway. Wolves versus Newcastle.
Yeah, this will be ding dong. I think Wolves under Gary O'Neill like to try and play football, like to try and score goals. Matheus Cunha, the two Gomez. Yeah, I think it'll be basketball. Now, I think here's your problem. I don't think you want to play basketball versus Newcastle with Anthony Gordon and Alexander Isak and stuff like that. I just think it's a bad idea. So I think Newcastle and nick it, but in similar style to the Chelsea game. I think there's goals here.
Traditional 4-3.
Well, I think I'm gonna go 3-2 Newcastle.
Okay.
Yeah,
Romy, he does love a late goal, doesn't he, Isaac? That's for sure.
I love him. I absolutely love him.
Yeah, Daz is going for 2-0 Parma brace in the Chelsea game.
Clean sheet would be huge there. They've obviously Bournemouth have the boy Evan Nilsson, the new lad, and Enes Ünal, the Turkish lad who came in, is a good player as well. And they've got obviously Tavernier and Kluivert and Semenyo. So I think Chelsea to get a clean sheet and get out there with 3 points would be big for them.
Henry, well, I must not upset my guest for tomorrow, John Geordie fan, but I do think Geordies will win 3-0. Is he coming on the same show, Henry? Is it John Sinclair? Love John. John's a great lad. Let me know. Right, let's move to the North London derby, and we have to talk about this. And there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment. So we'll bring this up. Bit of history there. The last 10 games, Spurs and Arsenal. I've picked up this thing as well, the drop off, what happens with and without Odegaard. I didn't do one for Rice as well, who's obviously suspended. Arteta today signing a new contract, 3-year extension, apparently nearly doubling his wage from what I read. The talk is he's going to be very close to Pep's 20 million. Let's break it down. First of all, talk about the match and the players. No Odegaard, no Rice. What do you think they're going to go in with? No Moreno, obviously.
That's their first choice midfield, basically.
Yeah.
What do I think he'll go in with? I think he'll probably go in with Partey and Jorginho as a 2 to
Okay.
kind of give them a base in front of the back 4. I think he'll play Havertz as a 10. I think you'll definitely see Saka on the right. It'll be a toss-up between Trossard and Martinelli on the left. And then I think if Martinelli plays on the left, you have the possibility of seeing Trossard up front. But I think if he goes with Trossard on the left, I think you'll actually see Raheem Sterling playing as a false 9 through the middle.
Interesting. So if you were picking, if you were laying a hat on it, are you thinking, would you be leaning more towards Trossard up the middle, or would you be leaning more towards Sterling?
I'd be leaning more to him playing Trossard on the left and playing Sterling through the middle.
And not playing Martinelli.
And not playing Martinelli. Martinelli hasn't had a lot of game time so far this season for Arsenal.
Yeah,
he's just on the back of a defeat at Brazil as well, which he didn't get a lot of game time in either. So I don't see him coming back from that trip and all of a sudden starting the North London derby. So I expect it to be Partey and Jorginho, Saka and Trossard on the wings, so to speak, and then Havertz in behind a Raheem Sterling, or maybe he'll go with Havertz up top and play Sterling as the 10. But I think they'll need Havertz to try and drop into the midfield and pick the ball up a little bit and stuff like that, as he's done a couple of times for them.
Yeah, I think so. In terms of Spurs, we kind of know really what we're kind of going to get, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we absolutely do. I think some of the performance has been better than the results so far this season for Spurs. But I think Spurs are going to win this game. It's again, I have it in my bets later, but I think this has Spurs written all over it, if I'm honest. And I think Spurs will make this game 150 miles an hour. I think they'll have Van de Ven and Romero sitting quite deep and making it difficult for Arsenal to get in behind them and stuff like that. And I think, the likes of Basuma and Sarr will make it very, very difficult for Partey and Jorginho.
Basuma's out.
Basuma's out, is he?
Basuma's out, yeah. Basuma's out as far as I know, yeah. He came off the other night. He came off from Mali the other night injured. So he's out as far as I know. Again, I haven't had the late date, but what I read yesterday was that he's out.
Right.
Which is a big loss for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure is. I'm just going to see if I were to make a transfer in fantasy football, what it says, because, they give a guide as to who's fit and who's not fit. Add player. All clubs, Spurs.
Yeah, Champions League starting on Tuesday, so we will be previewing that on the Monday night with Mark. We'll be back into the rhythm of that.
He doesn't have anything over him on fantasy now, unless it hasn't been changed. But yeah, I don't know. Hard to know.
Yeah, I read somewhere he came off the other night in the African game. He came off when he was injured, so I'm not too sure. He might be okay for the game. I'm not too sure. But
I don't think it'll matter. I think, even if it's Archie Gray or even if it's, it probably won't be Bentancur after what's gone on today. But I think this has Spurs written all over it.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm going to go Spurs 2-1.
Fair enough. Spurs 2-1.
Yeah,
that'd be quite damaging to their season, wouldn't it, Arsenal?
Yeah. Listen, it's a North London derby. Anything can happen, but I do think it's a game that if Arsenal want to be champions, it's a game they need to try and win.
If Spurs win, we'll all get Taylor Swift tickets. On the subject, we may as well stay on this at the moment. What did you make of this today? New 3-year extension, 2027. Salary more or less doubling. I think he's on 9 mil at the moment. I think someone in the States was reporting on it, either Goal or ESPN were saying that his salary is going to be brought right up very close to Pep on 20 mil. What do you make? This is an interesting move, isn't it? Because it's obviously the Arsenal fan base most of them will be kind of up in arms about this in terms of, well, we know a lot of the good work that he's done. We know what he's had to do to bring Arsenal back up there into contention, all that kind of stuff. But he hasn't really delivered that over the last 4 years. The FA Cup was kind of on the back of a team that was kind of built a bit by Emery, but he still had to go and win it. So I'm not going to take it away.
It's kind of disrespectful to say, that he's had no success over the last 4 years.
Well, I mean, when I'm talking about for a contract like this, a 3-year, 20 mil,
I have a caveat for that, by the way.
Yeah.
And my caveat for that would be, it's the Arsenal fans who see the not winning anything as a big problem. Whereas, if you look at what he's done to the club, and if you look at what he's done to the club and how he's turned Arsenal's fortunes around and what he's built there at Arsenal, I think he's done a phenomenal job. I really do. I think at times Arsenal fans have a very, very short memory for what they watched under Arsene Wenger. Like, he has been a breath of fresh air since coming into the job. Arsenal play super football. If the one thing we're holding against Mikel Arteta is that he's fallen short in a race against one of the best Premier League teams of all time, which is Manchester City. If that's what we're holding against them, but
I mean, he's fallen short as well in Europe. He's fallen short as well in the FA Cup. He's fallen short in the Carabao Cup. We know there's only four trophies every year. He hasn't really. Okay, he's come up short.
I think he's prioritised badly. I think that's what I would say. I think at times he hasn't prioritised cups and he hasn't prioritised winning cups. I think he's always looked at, I want to win the league. I'm going to be measured on this. That's what I think he's done. Because I don't... They put their eggs in one basket for me for the last couple of seasons. And they've overlooked the likes of a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. Whereas
which is a huge bone of contention with the fans because they have a glorious history in the FA Cup.
It's huge with the fans, but don't forget, this probably isn't something that's coming from Mikel Arteta either. I don't believe Mikel Arteta goes into the season and says, I don't want to win anything. But if the waiting from behind the scenes with an Edu and with a Kroenke and stuff like that is that you want Arsenal to be challenging in the top 2 or 3 in that league, that's really important, Yeah. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I just the thing for me is just when you're looking at a contract like that's a huge contract. And obviously I don't know, you heard a lot of people, there was a lot of people online today talking about, well, they're trying to tie it down in case Pep goes at the end of the season and all. And I said, you might have seen my comment in our group. I said to Dino, I think that's nailed on for the Girona manager. I think he'll probably slide into that position by the looks of things. For me, anyway, that's what I think. I think he's had an exceptional season with Girona last year and stuff like that, and looks a very good manager who was in contention to maybe the last 7-8 games in La Liga against a great Real Madrid side, against Carlo Ancelotti, and on a budget of a net spend of 13 million. You know what I mean? That's outstanding. Which?
Is it Michel?
Sanchez, is it? Is that his name?
Michel or something like that, but it might be Sanchez. You could be right.
Double check it out. I thought his name was Sanchez. That's what I posted in Sanchez now. I'm nearly sure it was Sanchez's name. I'm not too sure.
Matches. Results. Girona. Lineups. No, it's Michel.
Oh, is it? Okay. That's who I'm talking about.
The second name may be Sanchez.
Yeah.
I know on the yoke it shows up as Michel. Michel.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think, you've been grooming this guy in the background, so to speak, to take over from Pep. I think if the only reason Arsenal gave Mikel Arteta the deal was to warden off the threat of Manchester City, it's very short-sighted. Because that's a big, big chunk of change they've just handed over. And for him to, at the end of this season, not have won something again, and the Arsenal fans to have more unrest, and then the board look to act, and then all of a sudden, what's it cost you to get rid of a manager? 15 million?
Absolutely.
That's big bread. Yeah. Listen, I don't see it happening. I see Mikel Arteta there for quite a while.
What about the timing of it? Obviously, going into a North London derby, huge game. Obviously, they've slipped slightly.
I actually think they might have. When you talk about knowing your audience, I think they might have let this one drop a little bit. And the reason I say it is, I would imagine from Edu and Kroenke's side, they would see this as huge, that they've managed to secure Mikel Arteta for another 3 years at the club, right? And I think on the back of your Moreno injury, your Rice sending off, and your Odegaard injury, this was the guys saying, look what we've managed to do. Let's have some positivity around the place ahead of the game on Sunday. But I think the fans now are facing down the barrel of, is this what our future holds? Mikel Arteta and not winning trophies? It's tough.
Yeah, I think when if you're talking about Spurs, or you're talking, no disrespect to any club, if you're talking about other clubs, yeah, that can sit with people. But if you're talking about the likes of United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, obviously now, teams like that who are in and around success, trophies, history, lineage,
Sorry,
all that kind of stuff.
Could you just do me a favour and never mention Arsenal in the same sentences United when you're talking about football clubs? Just saying.
No, but you know what I mean. I'm talking about in terms of,
shit as we are, they'll never lace our fucking Nikes. Just saying.
I'm talking about if you take the top 4 or 5 teams in the division who have been winning trophies, used to winning trophies, have a history of winning trophies. That kind of
but we've just said Arsenal don't have a history of winning trophies. What have they won in the last 15 years?
I haven't gone back on it and stuff like that, but I know
Morris
what in the
is
last.
An Arsenal fan. What have Arsenal won in the last 15 years? 15. I would hazard not a fucking lot.
FA Cups, yeah, sure. I mentioned it earlier, didn't I? Yeah, well, they haven't won a league in 20 years, 21 years, or whatever it is. So, but certainly they've a history, and that's why I mentioned earlier about binning off the cups and stuff like that. If you have such a history in the FA Cup and stuff like that, I mean, that like landing an FA Cup, or dare I say, even using a Carabao Cup as a platform to something, to get that kind of mentality in there, that winning mentality of lifting a trophy, of feeling that, you know what I mean, and being able to springboard potentially from that and stuff, you know what I mean. I think that would be big for them, you know what I mean. And I'm not saying, I know the focus would, they haven't won a Champions League, so the focus, and I don't see them win the Champions League this year either. So the focus would be
they've hardly only won 2 trophies in 15 years, have they?
I would have thought more now in terms of FA Cups. I'm not too sure. I haven't looked at it, but
sorry, they've won 3 trophies in the last 10 years. So they're not exactly.
But they're all FA Cups, are they?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Arsenal won a record 13th FA Cup final in 2017 by beating Chelsea 2-1. Arsenal also won the Community Shield each time in the same year. So to answer your question, Arsenal won 3 trophies in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but depending on where you are,
you would, because you're a Madrid fan and you win real trophies.
Absolutely. So it's a different world. It's a totally different world.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Arsenal have still never won a Champions League. I don't think you can. They haven't won the league in 21 years. They've never won. Lads on the bench, they look at that. We have lads on the bench that don't even have a fault on the Premier League website. Finished second for 2 years and coming into the new season with a weaker squad. Happy with the Champions League. To think that you have won a league in 21 years, and then on top of that, to say you've never won a Champions League, I don't think you can even mention Arsenal in the same breath as Man United, Liverpool. Don't think you can.
But then you see, then I go back to the contract here. the signing of the contract and stuff like that. And this guy, I think he spent
Do you think
he spent
they're
700.
settling? Do you think they're settling for mediocrity here?
Well, they spent 700 million.
And he's transformed them into a much better football team. Like we can't look past that. The issue is when it comes to the crunch, he hasn't won anything. He's won an FA Cup, as you said, on the back of Unai Emery's.
Do you know how I compare it? I'm following Liverpool that long now. I followed them all through the 80s and the 90s and everything else and all. And you know something? I got into that rut. Of my two biggest trophies every season was playing you guys at Old Trafford and at Anfield. And that's the rut that we ended up getting into, and it was horrible. And it's taken so long to kick that and get out of that and stuff like that. And I know no team has a God-given right to win a league or win a Champions League. You need a little bit of luck to go your way. You need various things to go your way and to click at times.
Well, I mean, here's the first thing, right? We talk about winning the Champions League. If you're Mikel Arteta, part of his argument is you got to be in it to fucking win it. And with what he's done with Arsenal, he's at least made sure they've been in the Champions League consistently for the last number of years.
Romy, I'll take a Copa del Rey over a La Liga if I had to. But you don't have
Champions Leagues.
You don't have
like
to. 15.
You own the fucking Champions League, like
Look, we spoke about it. Did we play the video when Perez put the 15th one in, and you're going along the trophy cabinet, and you see when they did the presentation on the pitch, and they'd all the Champions League trophies. My God,
we like and this isn't like we talk.
It's Real Madrid and everyone else.
Absolutely, and we talk about like I think I would consider United a massive football club, but I think when I speak about United as a massive football club, I also think at times we've won 3 European Cups. Like, to be one of the biggest teams in the world, one of the biggest clubs in the world, you shouldn't have more than 3 European Cups, I believe. Now, I know we got to 2 finals and we lost 2 finals to Barcelona in 3 years. And yes, the Xavi, Messi, Ronaldinho, the boys, whatever. I get that. But you're always going to bump into somebody. That irks me a little bit because I firmly believe, and I say it all the time, for me, I want my team to be the biggest team in the world. And it hurts me when they're not. It hurts me to look at Liverpool and see, if you got 7 Champions League now?
6.
And I'm like, they've twice the Champions Leagues that we have. Twice.
And so many finals with so many missed opportunities.
Do you know? Like that.
As well.
That grinds my gears. So I can understand how, Morris would feel as an Arsenal fan. And we're being talked about as being one of the top teams in the league, and we've got such and such a player, and we've got the manager, and we've got this, and we've got that, the great stadium, and you've nothing tangible, to measure it against. That's tough.
Yeah, look, yourself, Henry, how I feel about it. If it had been FSG spending that amount and not winning anything, how would you react, Niall? I don't necessarily. It's not the spend, and it's not the figure that irks me.
No,
it's the fact that you've spent that amount of money, and an injury to Odegaard and a suspension to Rice, and the deck of cards crumbles. You know what I mean? And it just, you're seeing it. I was talking about this the other day as well. We went into that Carabao Cup final last season, and look at the team that we started with, and look at the team that we finished that final with.
Yeah.
Bobby Clark, McConnell, Jayden Dance.
Yeah.
These are guys who were Connor Bradley. These are guys who were on the pitch for that final. You look at that compared to what was out there from Chelsea and stuff like that, and it's just, you know what I mean? You gotta everything kind of in perspective,
I don't necessarily think Arsenal have spent their money very, very well at times. I really don't. And I think there's a couple of glaring holes in the Arsenal squad, as Morris would say, like glaringly obvious to us on the sidelines.
16 senior players available for Sunday.
Well, just on the money thing, yeah, like Zinchenko hasn't really worked. Yeah. Gabriel Jesus hasn't really worked. Kivior, he's done okay, hasn't really worked. Tomiyasu hasn't really worked. Tierney hasn't really worked. We're not even going to go into the keepers, because don't forget, you've had Ramsdale, you've had Turner, you've had Matt Ryan, you've had, like, there's been a massive turnover of players at Arsenal at times, and I feel like they've done a really poor job with their recruitment. They've managed to get a player into some positions. You've got Saka, who's come up through the youths, right? You've got Odegaard, who you bought. It worked. You've brought in Moreno. We'll see how it goes. You've got Rice, who you spent 100 million on. It had to work for that. I think he was a guarantee at that stage. On the opposite side, you've half a Trossard, half a Martinelli. You don't have a striker. You have a Havertz who floats between 2 and 3 positions. He sold Martinez, that's correct. And Bernd Leno, who, by the way, has done phenomenal at Fulham for the last couple of years. All of that, there are success stories at Arsenal. William Saliba is a success story. Ben White's a success story. There's a lot of guys who aren't success stories. And Arsenal have spent an awful lot of money for how that squad is made up right now. I would agree with Morris.
I suppose the big question, if you go back to Arteta's first year and winning the FA Cup, why did that team have to be so dismantled? You know what I mean? Why not look and take one or two, if you have to take a number of players out and build on that foundation? Why did the whole thing have to be stripped away?
I think this is something that, managers get in their heads, that I want to play a particular style. And in order to play that particular style, I need a 6 who's comfortable receiving the ball and who can open out and doesn't cross the halfway line. I need fullbacks who can play a certain height up the pitch, and they're looking for pieces of a puzzle. And I do get that to a degree, but I think the problem is their inability to move away from what they want, or to use what they have to create something. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the best we can talk about is like, if, again, as you talk about that Carabao Cup, Jurgen Klopp didn't want to put any of them players in those spots. He was left with no alternative. And it's what you're able to do in those times, in those positions, to manufacture, I need 40 minutes from Bobby Clark here in as a number 8. I need to give him as much information of what I want so he can get through those 40 minutes and get us over the line so we can lift that trophy. We can get lads back in there. You know what I mean? I think at times that needs to happen a bit more as well. You want the big personalities out of the teams. You can't manage big egos. So I believe Sterling was an Edu panic boy and not favoured Arteta. Well, I would disagree with you there, Morris, because Mikel Arteta spoke about Raheem Sterling 2 weeks prior to the end of the window. And he spoke about him, and he spoke about the time he spent with him at Manchester City. And he spoke about his respect he had for the player, and about how he couldn't believe, what had happened at Chelsea, but he wasn't going to speak about him because he wasn't an Arsenal player, and blah, blah, blah.
Player,
yeah. But I think he was more than happy to have a glancing eye on Raheem Sterling. And then I think when the moment struck, I think that's absolutely what Mikel Arteta wanted. Because don't forget, Mikel Arteta is a subject of Pep Guardiola. Now, we've just talked about Haaland possibly being out this weekend, and City not having a replacement. They'll play maybe a Phil Foden as a false 9. Raheem Sterling is now Arsenal's false 9 in my eyes. That's where he will play. He fits into that system, of we don't need a striker. You know, City have just sold Julian Alvarez and didn't replace him because they're so comfortable with a false nine. Mikel Arteta comes from the same school. Arsenal should have signed a striker in the last 2 summer transfer windows and haven't budged on it because Mikel Arteta is happy to play with a false nine, be it Leandro Trossard, Kai Havertz, or now Raheem Sterling. And that's where as a manager, someone's got to be able, someone in the background. If Edu can't turn around to Mikel Arteta and say, listen, we've 100 million to spend, but we're not going through this window without bagging ourselves a number 9. Do you know what I mean? That has to happen.
Do you know what we spoke about Morris last week? I don't know whether you've seen it. Myself and Darren were talking about it because obviously international break is painful. We were talking about Raheem Sterling. And we were saying with Arsenal, if you look at Arsenal's goals, apart from the Saliba and the Gabriel headers and stuff like that they score from corners or set pieces down that end, and we spoke about like free kicks and stuff like that, you don't score easy goals. Trossard's goals are always amazing. Saka's goals are always amazing. You know what I mean? And you rarely score tap-ins. And Sterling is that tap-in king. He could do that job. We spoke about it there, back post tap-ins constantly all the time. Great delivery into the box and stuff like that.
How many times did somebody at that Manchester City team cut that ball back to that little gap between the 6-yard line and the penalty spot? And
getting a keeper to make a decision.
Coming onto it,
keeper.
Boom. And he just slots it away. And people will then say, oh, he only scores easy goals, or he only scores tap-ins. Every goal's a goal. They all count the same. Whether I'm pinging it from 60 yards or 6 yards, I still get that little one beside me name.
And you got to remember as well, they're the ones that are so important as well. Because if you look at the looks of Bukayo Saka, who we love, who's an outstanding talent and stuff like that. Absolutely. But how many times is he going to beat 3 players and put a ball into the left corner? You know, he'll try that 15, 20 times and he might get 1 or 2. Whereas if you look at Sterling, if you put that ball into that decision-making between the defence and the keeper, he's invariably going to get on the end of it and put a toe poking into the back of the net. And they're the ones. Same even if you look out there, Martinelli as well always has to do a lot of work to score. Trossard always has to do a lot of work to score. These are not straightforward guys who score goals. They're always kind of really good goals that we look at and go, well, what a goal. But when's the last time you see a lot of Arsenal tap-ins? You don't see them these days.
Here's the one thing I will say, though, on that. And this just goes right back. We need someone in the 6-yard box. That could be it. Yeah. And here's exactly what I would say. The reason you don't see Arsenal score those goals is because they don't have a striker. That is the flake on top of your 99. That is Erling Haaland. Manchester City create a certain amount of chances and they put balls into areas knowing if we feed this ball in here, the guy who plays in this position will do the rest. Arsenal don't have that player. Kai Havertz is not that player. Leandro Trossard is not that player. Erling Haaland's that player. Benjamin Sesko might be that player. Ivan Toney might be that player. Alexander Isak is absolutely that player. You know, there's a level here. And Arsenal don't have anything near the level of a 9. And that's what they should have. If they're aiming to win a league title, they don't have a level of a 9. I would say, me personally, United have struggled to score goals over the last couple of years, right? Arsenal would do it damn sight better than Hoyland. Could do a damn sight worse than Hoyland or Xerxes. And they were both on the table at one stage. And they neither turned their head for either of
them. Considering in a lot of the ways he moves and the way he sets up and formation and all that, very much mimics at time a Pep kind of situation. Because obviously he was there for a long time and stuff like that. How come he hasn't gone for this 9? Why hasn't he gone when he sees what Pep has done with Haaland or with an Alvarez or whatever it is? How come he hasn't?
It baffles me. The only thing I can think of is back to the Liverpool Jurgen Klopp scenario. Klopp wants a particular player to fit into his style of football. And if that player is not on the table, he'll sit in his hands and wait till it arrives. You know, rather than pulling the trigger on something that's not 100%, something that's 80%, that will still do it. You know what I mean?
I think it's all right. Obviously, it's different now because you got the contract, the extension to 2027. But I think if you're 5 years deep into that project and that's your thinking, you're rolling the dice on your position, aren't you?
Listen, Arsenal had the easiest signing to happen that could have happened to them this summer, and they let it slip out of their grasp. Ivan Toney, down the road in London, he's a figurehead, he's a focal point, he's a number 9, he scores, he creates space in and around that front area for the likes of a Brian Mbeumo or a Johan Visa. You think that's Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka? Arsenal are quids in. He left for 40 million. When that bid was accepted from Saudi, Arsenal should have jumped off their
Hijacked the deal.
chair with 5 million more.
Obviously, the wage.
40, is it?
Obviously, the wages was the issue.
Well, Ivan Toney knew if he went to Arsenal, he was never getting to that level.
400k, isn't it?
So that's fine. And I imagine he would have been happier to stay at Arsenal on 150 than head to Saudi on 400. I imagine.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's a huge difference.
Huge, massive.
Yeah, but obviously it negatively impacts on his international career, obviously, which he speaks about so much as well. Because, I mean, how much did he talk about international football even when he was on the betting hiatus?
Luckily, he's not playing for the Dutch. Because Ron 40 mil would to get. If the lads in Saudi had 40 mil agreed for Tony, Arsenal needed to walk down the road with 45 on the check and just hand it over.
And at 40 mil, considering previously they were touting 70 and 80 mil. So if they were getting him at 40 mil and there was 20, 30 mil shaved off that, you probably had a bit of room to move on the wages anyway if you had to.
Right.
To convince it across the line
Easy
somewhat.
money.
Yeah.
And that was such an... I think I left a voice note for Morris the day of the window closed. And I said, if you tell me now that you're not going to make this move, and Morris was in Barcelona, and I said, it looks like it's going to be Raheem Sterling. I said, but I cannot believe Arsenal are allowing this to slide and they're not going down the road of Tony, you know?
Yeah, fair play to Tony. Get your money, pal. 100%. Couple of quick ones before we get on to one other thing. The court case starts on Monday. So there you go. The only thing about this is we haven't even heard the upshot yet or the outcome of the previous arbitration, have we yet? So I don't know. Haven't heard anything. So
we know it's going to be contrived. We can tell exactly what it's going to be, can't we?
Yeah, and this man can do no wrong. The French Commission his favour, so PSG have to stump up the 55 million in unpaid wages. There's my IBAN. Send it now. There you go. So Mbappe getting his unpaid wages, 55 million.
It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just man's just a machine when it comes to money, you know.
55 million.
Judge Nolan will give Pep a suspended sentence. There we go. Right, final topic of the night. We've talked enough about Arsenal now, North London derby, all that. We'll see how it plays out. Right, let's talk civil war in London. They were talking about the other day. Matt Law and various other reporters talking about how this has gone crazy. We've seen a lot of mud flinging over both walls. Relationship seems to have broken down.
Yeah.
Talk to me, Chelsea. Never a dull moment.
It's a shit show, isn't it?
This is bad, isn't it?
It's an absolute shit show. Mind you, it's not something we didn't foresee. We did imagine this was going to end horribly wrong. Am I right?
This is Morris's favourite section.
We did imagine it was going to end up like this. This wasn't a marriage made in heaven. This was a marriage made in hell. Too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Right, but let's get the first point out of the way first of all. Stamford Bridge. We know that the Chelsea CPO is it? The Chelsea pitch owners, or protect whatever it is. They own the pitch. They want to obviously move. They've looked at obviously expanding Stamford Bridge. It doesn't look like it's feasible. We can tell by looking at it, wouldn't be easy anyway. What's your feeling on that? And I know you spoke about it last week, talking about we spoke about the United one and stuff like that and all, and you know how things have to evolve. And we know obviously Peter Osgood buried under the pitch and all this kind of thing, his ashes and stuff like that and all. Give me your thinking on it.
I think the first thing is obviously when when you're talking about stuff that's sensitive like that, you've got to be, you've got to have a lot of empathy. I don't think any team who's had, 100 years at a stadium or something like that wants to leave that stadium. But I think geographically the issue for Chelsea is where the stadium is situated.
Yeah.
And it's really going to make any sort of redevelopment very, very difficult. There isn't a lot of land around Stamford Bridge. It would be slightly different if I said when they're redeveloping Old Trafford. Out the front of Old Trafford, there's a coach park. It's quite a large car park. The away fans, it's an enclosed area. A lot of the away fans, when the buses arrive, they will arrive into this caged area. From the caged area, they will walk from there with police escort through to the turnstiles, and they'll be brought through. This is a big area. This could be 6 to 8 acres of a site, right? So this is a big plot. Then on the opposite side, you have a car park possibly double the size of that, and you have an industrial estate on either side of it with, again, ample space that if you were able to put compulsory purchase orders on certain pieces of property, you could expand the stadium, maybe at the big one or the small one, do all these things and still have space. That's not the case at Chelsea. I feel like if Chelsea were going to redevelop Stamford Bridge, it would need to be total demolition and go again. And I don't think that's going to be allowed. I think that's just far too much upheaval in where it is and stuff like that. I think it's there's a lot of houses and stuff around it and stuff like that, and it doesn't have the space, and it's not vast enough to hold that. I think for Chelsea, the issue for Chelsea would be coming out of Chelsea. I don't believe there's anywhere in Chelsea that could home them. So then you're at a stage where, and I know they spoke about this at other times at other clubs, you end up with someone like Chelsea and they're in like Battersea, or they're in, Dagenham, or they're outside of the King's Road.
MK Dons level.
And that's what happens. And that's an issue for fans. And it's an issue obviously with the hotels and stuff like that, because if the stadium is gone, the hotels are going to be a little bit dormant as well, so to speak, because I would imagine a lot of what they get is for games and stuff like that.
Match days and stuff,
It's match day, it's Champions League, it's 20 league games a season, it's 5 cup games, it's 6 this, it's 10, all of a sudden you've 30 or 40 dates there, and you build a little bit around that, and you're able to encompass the whole thing. But I don't imagine on a Tuesday night with no football on in sight that the Stamford Bridge Hotel is rocking.
Yeah, I think I suppose you're juggling two acts here, aren't you? One is obviously the history and what it means to them and all that kind of stuff, and I get that. Being a Liverpool fan, Anfield is in my heart always.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean.
And likewise with Old Trafford, that's...
But on the flip side of that as well is you've got stadiums. You got Spurs with their stadium, Arsenal with the Emirates, and the financial pressure on clubs now to be able to have that seat at the top table and have an influence on the conversation and not be like a mid-table club, if you like, and stuff like that. You're not going to be able to maintain that from a financial point of view if you're bringing in 40,000 a week at a match.
It's sustainability.
And you have United, and you have United up the road, 100,000. But God knows what the Etihad might become. Maybe they might be able to do a bit more redevelopment at Anfield. Let's see what happens. But you're not going to be like there's now nearly 20,000 in the difference between Anfield and Stamford Bridge.
Yeah,
on a match day.
And we had this discussion the other day. We didn't have it about Stamford Bridge, but we had it about Anfield. I, not as a Liverpool fan, have it be in my bonnet with Liverpool over the lack of availability in tickets and in match day tickets and stuff like that. Obviously,
Yeah.
For fans, I know you're a fan. I know Dean's a fan. I know other Liverpool fans who can't get tickets because the price has gone through the roof, because the supply and demand, the supply has exceeded demand and stuff like that. And that's with 60,000. That's with 60,000. So what must it be like if you're a Chelsea fan?
And absolutely. And the thing about it as well is it's very difficult as well, because you only have certain avenues where you can grow your revenue.
Absolutely.
So your revenue will increase if
revenue is huge.
Massive part of it. So you've got your match day revenue, you've got the bolt on from that we spoke about, the food, drink, merchandise, all that kind of stuff. Then on top of that, then you need that success on the pitch that brings you back into the Champions League and all that kind of stuff. So that boosts your sponsorship and your attractiveness for new sponsors and all that. You've got your kit deals and your sponsorship deals. But really, you have to, I think clubs are recognizing very quickly, you have to grow your match day revenue. That's a big part of this and stuff like that. And being around that 40,000 or 45,000 or whatever it is, that just won't cut it. And what happens is, the problem is then from an investment point of view, if you want to go and do the squad and buy players and bring in this and that and the other, it hampers you, because it doesn't matter. We've seen at Newcastle, it doesn't matter if you own a country. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire.
This is the thing. This is the thing. When we spoke about this when the Newcastle deal happened, and you said, I think they're going to back the truck up and they're just going to open it and the 50s are going to fall out. And I said, I'm not so sure. I think it'll be slower, because I said, I think they'll have to work some money into the club. And we see, obviously, the likes of the short sponsorship deal.
Yeah.
What I would imagine quite soon, we're going to see St. James's Park be renamed. And that's going to be a big Newcastle's biggest.
We might even see the corner shop down in London, huh?
It might happen. But it has to happen, because clubs need to stay within PSR now with what they're spending on wages and player transfers and the day-to-day running of the club and stuff like that. They need huge financial clout, and that means you need to pick money up from every avenue you can.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's one side of it and stuff. So the other side of this that's coming out at the moment is both these guys want to buy each other out. They're both multi-billionaires, obviously Clear Lake with a hell of a lot more wealth. We know that potentially 70% of it is Saudi backed and all that, but that's neither here nor there. But how is this going to play out, where like this is going to be, is one going to make the other an offer that they can't refuse? And I said to you that I think in our chat that kind of, if Clear Lake takes over, will it feel nearly state-owned, if you like? And what happens then? And then there's been a lot of mudslinging as well, where Bowley has been saying that the player situation has been down to Clear Lake, and that Egbali has been hanging around the tunnel and hanging around the locker room again and having conversations and all this kind of stuff, which is really, really bad. On Bowley's side, I suppose there's a bit of sporting stuff there. They've dealt with sport franchises like the Dodgers and various things like that. There doesn't seem to be a history of that with Clear Lake. So like, where's this going to end up? Like, neither of these guys are going to want to lose this battle.
No, but I don't think maybe Bowley's in the position to turn around and write a check for the type of money that Egbali's going to want to walk away. I think Clear Lake
will make him the offer he wants to walk away.
I think, because I think the issue is, this is a Houllier and Evans kind of a thing, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they mentioned this, and it was Jason McAteer, and he said, when one came in, we knew we knew the other one, he said, wasn't far behind, and I think that's what's happened here. I think there's, you've one guy who's trying to run the show, and you've a guy in the background overshadowing him.
He said Reebok told him, remember? Said Reebok dropped it.
Manager.
Reebok dropped it. And he said to him, Jared Houllier, and he goes, who's Jared Houllier? The French manager.
Yeah, that's right. But I see this being, I think from Chelsea's point of view, from the Chelsea fans' point of view, I probably want this to be Egbali you know. I think I want this to be clear. Like, I think I want the deep pockets. I think I want, a rollover of players. I think knowing that I have the buffer zone of the Saudi League, that if something doesn't work, I can pay someone off to the Saudi League, get 80% of my money back and clear the debt on that side. I think Clear Lake and Igbali is the way to go for Chelsea. I think
Did
Bowley spells bad news, if I'm honest.
Yeah, they were saying. I think Ian was telling us the other day that it was very much in favour of Bowley, wasn't it? And they wanted Clear Lake gone. I think when he gave us, he said
I
us.
would.
Did he send us the percentages or something like that in the chat?
Well, yeah, he might have. I don't know how much credence I would give to that, but we shall see.
What happens to Strasbourg then? Yeah, look.
And the 4 Chelsea players that joined him in the summer.
Yeah. No, this is is this in danger? The next thing I suppose about this as well is this in danger of spilling onto the pitch?
I don't think so.
You think they'll be able to? Think a guy
Well,
like Maresca will be able to tinfoil it around it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what I would see Bowley popping up pretty quickly again if he does exit stage left. Like, we know, obviously, John Textor was pretty close to a deal for Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And he pulled out of the deal, and now he looks like he's heading the route of Everton. It wouldn't shock me to see Bowley being bought out at Chelsea and him pick up at either Crystal Palace or somewhere like that, because it seems like they want a franchise for the league.
Yeah, be interesting. Yeah, it's got there's just so much going on there at the moment, isn't there? Like, it's just at every single level. We're getting the here we goes all summer long. You know what I mean? There doesn't seem to be a pattern to it. We're seeing players that are only there a year being moneyballed out the door. We're seeing lads who have spent a long time there getting absolutely ostracized out the door. It's just, there's just a bad taste there at the moment, isn't there? At every level, so difficult to focus on football.
Absolutely.
So difficult to focus on football.
Yeah. No. It's tough, but I don't necessarily see it eking in to Maresca and what he's trying to do. I think it's too far away from the pitch to phase the lads, if that makes sense.
Yeah, be interesting. All right, Bowley must be the only man to wreck a Champions League winning team. Don't know about that. But yeah, that's I just thought I'd bring it up because it's a weekly topic now at this stage. What's going on there. Absolutely. And what's leaking out and stuff like that. So, and it's and it's not that like we necessarily it's not that we have a Chelsea obsession here on this show or anything like that. You know what I mean? We've just been speaking at length about Arsenal.
I close the fucking curtains.
You're running out of matches to watch.
Do you know what I didn't run out of?
That is super fun.
I didn't run out of bets.
Very good, yeah. We have our bets to do, yeah. Let's run through them, though.
I'll run through them quickly, very quickly. I've got 3 bets here.
Yeah.
My first one is to score or assist. Now, this is a nice bet because obviously it covers a multitude. They don't have to score the goal, but if they do, you get it. It could be an assist. I've gone with Alexander Isak for Newcastle, score assist. I've gone Big Dom Solanke to get a goal or an assist in the North London derby. And as somebody mentioned earlier in the chat, I've gone for Amadou Onana for Aston Villa versus Everton.
Score against his all time.
Yeah, well, to score or assist, they're all goal or assist. As a treble goal or assist, they're 22-1.
It's not too bad. Not too bad at all.
I'll take it. Another bet that's fast becoming one of my favourites is player to be shown a card, player to be booked. I've gone with a treble. The first player is a guy who I bet back quite regularly to receive yellow cards, and he's always very forthcoming with them, and that's Bournemouth's Marco Senesi. He loves a card, he loves a tackle. I think at Chelsea with Jackson and with Madueke and with Palmer running at him, I think he's gonna leather someone and get a yellow. I do. I've gone for Jack Stevens in the game against the Southampton game against United, because I imagine on the right hand side we'll probably play Garnacho and Ahmad. 90 minutes of Garnacho and Ahmad's a lot of pace. Stevens is not a terrible footballer, but he doesn't have that kind of pace. I think when somebody gets by him, he'll have to do something. And then I'm gonna finish it off with another guy playing against his former team, and that's Tim Eric-Bunham at Everton. Going back to Aston Villa, he was booked the last day as well. Plays in that centre midfield, very combative in there next to Onana. He won't mix it with Onana, but he will play up against him. And I think when Onana gets the upper hand, I think that's when we might see him go a little bit further. And 3 cards, 40-1, Senesi, Stevens, and Eric-Bunham. And then I'm going to finish off with my favourite bet, Niall. My result, I'm about to score. I have Brighton at home to Ipswich. I have Crystal Palace at home to Leicester. And I have Tottenham at home to Arsenal. It's just a little treble. Result, about to score, 42-1. Take it away. You're welcome.
Very nice. I have a treble result about to score. And I went Brighton and I went Crystal Palace.
Ooh.
And my third one is Man City. And that pays 19-1. So obviously the City one brings it down slightly in terms of the odds, but I backed you on 2 of them.
And the Spurs one brings it right up, yeah?
Yeah. I went with a goal scorer one as well. So I went with Diogo Jota for Liverpool. I went with Ollie Watkins for Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins has to get his season going, doesn't he? Has to get his season going.
I think at the minute there's a small doubt whether he'll play or not. He's marked as yellow on fantasy, so he may not be fit again. We probably won't find out till tomorrow until we get the.
He pulled out of the England team, didn't he? Did he pull out of the English? What he did, so I'll say, I had Cole Palmer in there as well. I did have Erling Haaland in, but I'll take Haaland out and I'll put Son in for Spurs. And that should pay in around 20s, I'd say. So that was that one, and then I had what's this one? I did a handicap bet as well. The handicap bet's worth 22-1. I did Liverpool -2, Man City -2. Didn't know Haaland was out, but -2. And I did Aston Villa -1 against Everton, and that treble pays 22-1.
I think that might not be a bad bet. Aston Villa minus a goal.
Yeah, Aston Villa minus a goal, City -2, and Liverpool -2.
Yeah,
so
lovely,
not too bad. So
lovely.
that's them. So that's it for this week. So
awesome.
Until next time, folks, really appreciate it. If you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like on the video. I'll be on Henry's channel tomorrow night at 8, previewing the Nottingham Forest game and answering any of your Liverpool questions if you want to pop along to that. Appreciate everyone in the chat as always. Morris just mentioned Watkins isn't injured out, so we'll see if that's the case. I know how to pick them, don't I? So thanks a million, folks, again for joining in, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Cheers, Darren.
Thanks, pal.